Hello there again, veterinarians and technicians. This is Casey Bishop here in the VetSpecs demonstration room, and we're continuing our training on the brand new wireless VetSpecs WM100 and WM10 veterinary specific vital signs monitoring systems. We're continuing on today with everything related to pulse oximetry. We are here with the brand new VetSpecs WM100 and WM10 wireless vital signs monitoring systems. We're focusing today on the SpO2 components. Of course, you have the monitoring platforms, the wireless multi-parameter main module, the Pulse Ox lingual or tongue sensor, and of course the Pulse Ox leg toe or leg paw sensor. Regarding where the SpO2 shows up on the monitor platform, on the display or the screen if you will, you're always going to want to look for the red waveform. You're going to see on our WM100, we have this in multi-parameter or all parameter mode. On the smaller WM10, we have this in SpO2 and CO2 only mode, just as an example. It's important to know that either platform can show different layouts based upon the different sensors or probes or leads attached to the patient. So again, just be aware of that. Of course, the plethysmographic wave in red, the SpO2 oxygen saturation value, as well as the individual pulse rate value coming from the SpO2 sensor. That'll show up a little bit differently on this display. Again, the waveform, pulse rate value, SpO2 value. So just again, look for those red waveforms and the values that go along with them. It's very noticeable when you first look at the pulse ox sensors, the lingual sensor versus the leg paw sensor. The clip is much smaller on the tongue versus the leg paw sensor, of course, due to the different applications. As far as which sensor to go with, typically the tongue sensor is going to be used almost exclusively in surgical procedures, right to the tongue of the patient. One thing we also like to point out is that the light source, not only is the clip smaller versus the larger clip, but the light source from both is fundamentally different. We use a lesser strength on the tongue sensor and a stronger light source on the leg paw sensor. And this is because, of course, the tongue is typically very pink, very moist, and sometimes very thin, to where the leg paw sensor, we're dealing with thicker, darker tissue, so we need a stronger light source. This is a fundamental difference when it comes to VetSpecs to the normal human monitor. So again, just choose based upon your application. The leg paw sensor, to point out, it can be used, of course, in dentistry, post-op, recovery, spot check. So choose the sensor that you're going to use. Just plug right into the SpO2 port, depending on the sensor that you're using, and you're good to go. As far as the leg paw sensor, some of the most popular areas will be the Achilles tendon during dentistry, certainly over the entire paw. If it's a smaller kitten, puppy, smaller dog, over the entire paw. The flank is often a good location, especially if the skin fold is thick enough, or even the prepucer vulva are good locations for the leg paw sensor. Ideally, when you're hooking up the Pulse Ox lingual or leg paw sensor to the patient, you're really looking to hook up to the vascular bed so that the sensor is opened, and you want to try to have both sides of the sensor as parallel to one another as possible. So as you can see here on my pinky, we are right at the maximum for this Pulse Ox lingual sensor, again, so that the different opposing sides of the clip are parallel to one another. When we go to the leg paw sensor, of course, you will see it has a much larger clip, and it can even, as you can see here, even sideways on my finger, it is parallel, even on the thickness of my finger. Certainly don't want to go to an area that is too thick. So for instance, if I were to go here, a little bit hard to see, but this is just simply too wide. In fact, if we try to hook up to an area that's too wide, opening that sensor up, it's possible that the area would be so thick that you might even get a sensor off reading. So just be aware, we're looking for parallel if at all possible. That's ideal. Sometimes you may be a little bit wider or even a little bit closer, but again, parallel is ideal when hooking up. While we're on the subject of SpO2 monitoring, I'd like to share with you a little, bonus content. Might even consider this a small hack to obtaining better values. We do have a lot of customers that use this strategy. Basically, whether you're using the tongue sensor or the leg paw sensor, take yourself a 2x2 gauze, fold it in half, and then apply it to the vascular bed, again, whether it be the tongue, wherever you might be hooking up to the patient's body with the leg paw sensor. Take the half of the fold of the gauze on one side of the vascular bed, then fold it on the other side, and then take the sensor and apply it right over the side of the gauze as such. There are technically a number of reasons that this does help on obtaining better values. In fact, even having a syringe with some warm tap water and just applying some warm tap water right at the on both sides where the sensors are, just apply some warm tap water from time to time. That also has shown to increase values. And again, that can be used on the leg paw sensor wherever you might be hooked up on the body, as well as on the tongue sensor.